Good evening and thanks for watching CTV Sports on Oscars Monday. I'm Travis Green.
And I'm Patrick Enslow. CSU men's basketball came out unscathed this Saturday as the Rams cruised to a 66-53 win over Air Force. Moby gave Matt Mooney a warm Colorado State welcome. Speaking of warm, the Rams came out hot from behind the arc, shooting 6 of 15 in the first half. Bejarano stuffed the stat sheet in this one, scoring 20 points while shooting 5 of 6 from downtown. Joe Deciman brought this one home with an emphatic slam, showing a little love for Bejarano there, but that is the dunk I'm talking about, slamming it home.
Baby!
Well, he might have been the difference in the game today. I mean, he doesn't make some timely shots, and we get a little off kilt, and you never know.
Trav, as you can see they cruise in this one.
They do.
You, Stacy, about falling asleep in that press conference.
he was a little tired after that game. I mean, it was a great game for the Rams. There was a sidetrack, though, the injuries. Bejarano was a little bit limping in this game, and Avila left the game after limping around for a while. I don't think it's much to worry about. After the game, they touched on it, said it was a back spasm, but it's something to think about heading into these next games coming up.
Yeah, and speaking of coming up, they have San Jose State and Utah State. Hopefully they'll be healthy by then, but I don't think they're as big of games. As you can see, San Jose State, not the strongest team in the Mountain West, probably the worst team in the Mountain West. They only have a few Division I wins in the past few years. That is not good. They should dominate San Jose State. That is a senior night game, so a real cupcake for all those seniors. They can go out. Maybe we can get some dunks, you know, some real entertaining stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely make sure you make your way out to Moby for that one. Last time you can see these seniors play at Moby, but on this Air Force game, Joe Deciman has played great of late. 12 points in this game, had 3 blocks, 2 straight games in double digits. I think he's really emerging, and this is the right time to be emerging with the Mountain West tournament coming up.
Yeah, you really want to see that depth. And speaking of the Mountain West tournament, schedule will play a key role, as I think CSU probably has one of the easiest schedules left in the Mountain West, as we said before, playing San Jose State and then at Utah State, where teams like Wyoming still have to go to New Mexico, tough place to play, and Boise State has to go play in San Diego against the Aztecs. And those are both games that I see those teams losing. And if they lose, CSU could sneak up into that 3rd, maybe 2nd seed. What do you think? What seed do you think they got, Travis?
I'm with you. I think 3rd or 2nd. I think they could sneak their way up to that 2nd because of the fact that those two teams have a rough schedule, or at least rougher than CSU. But don't fall asleep on this Utah State team at home. They beat Wyoming at home. They also beat San Diego State at home. People are looking at it as a little bit too much of a cupcake game because this is no slouch of a team.
Yeah, and hopefully they can recoup in that San Jose State game, get everybody healthy, and then head to Logan.
I'm with you. The CSU women's basketball team continued its dominance over Air Force on Saturday. The Rams came out of the gates slow, but after the game's first media timeout, they caught fire, going on an 18-0 run that included 5 consecutive three-pointers. From there on out, the Rams never looked back, coasting their way to an 85-49 win. The W gives CSU its 8th consecutive win over Air Force and moves their record to 20-6. They're also 12-3 in the Mountain West Conference, keeping them in first place. Pat, this was a great week for the Lady Rams. They not only dominated the Falcons, but they also got a win against Fresno State.
Yes, this Fresno State win was huge. This put them in, or tied at least, for first place, which is great to see. They would love to go to Las Vegas with that 1 seed. Trav, how does that tiebreaker work for that 1 seed?
For the 1 seed right now, they have the tiebreaker with New Mexico. But if New Mexico loses at UNLV this week, they'll be the sole first-place team in the Mountain West, which is huge as we talk because of the seeding for that Mountain West tournament.
Yeah, some people would beg to differ because we saw them get the 1 seed last year and then implode in that Mountain West tournament. So it'll be fun to watch. And another positive for this team is we saw depth against that Air Force team. Air Force, a weaker team in women's basketball, but Grit Ryder goes out there, gets 2 quick fouls, and then players like Jamie Patrick step up, and it was great to see down the stretch some of your bench players or your lesser-known players stepping up.
That Fresno State win was huge for this team, too, because they were on the verge of being in that first-place spot also. So now, like we said, just have to worry about New Mexico and also worry about themselves getting wins.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, it's time for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll give you our take of the Rams' performances in the NFL Combine.
Don't go away.
Having one of those days where you need to just get out of your head and chill out? If that's the case, head to the Laurie Student Center and relax. One of the best spots to relax in the LSC is outside the food court on the plinth lawn. Don't forget to stop by the Ramhead Fountain. The Level 100 Commons is the perfect spot. Lounge by the flat screen TVs or enjoy one of the gaming chairs to escape the daily grind. You can always relax in the LSC.
Welcome back to CTV Sports. The NFL Combine was this weekend where former college athletes tried to improve their stock in front of professional scouts. Garrett Grayson did not participate in many of the events because of an injured hamstring, but a few other Rams did. Offensive tackle Ty Sambrailo is expected to be the first Ram taken off the board in this year's draft. His size and athleticism are impressive, but he isn't the strongest guy on the field, and Patrick, that worries me. 23 bench reps in this one compared to Capri Bibbs, a running back last year. He got up 24.
Yeah, and I think he maybe was focusing on agility when he was training in California before the Combine, because he had the best three-cone time in the Combine, so that shows that his agility is probably one of the best at the lineman position. But what you want to see from your lineman is strength. Just like with running backs, you want to see a solid 40 time. With offensive linemen, you want to see a lot of bench press.
Yeah.
So, Trav, speaking of running backs, what did you think of D. Hart's performance there at the Combine?
D. Hart, it was a bad Combine for him. Very disappointing. We all know he doesn't have the most tremendous closing speed. Former head coach Jim McElwain would even joke that he was faster than D. Hart.
You know, I've told you I can outrun D. You know, you've seen him break it and get caught.
Oh, in D's play? He did what he was supposed to do. I got to get the guy to finish, you know. I'm telling you that foot race we're going to have, that's going to be a dandy. So, no, I tell you, he's a good football player, and I'm glad that he's playing for the Rams.
As you can see here, Hart ran a 4.8 in the 40-yard dash, which is pretty bad for a player his size, being one of the smaller running backs in this draft, and very disappointing to see him run at 4.8.
Yeah, Capri last year ran a 4.6 and had to sign out of free agency. So I think it'll be tough for D. Hart to maybe even sign a contract out of free agency this fall. And he was the smallest guy at the Combine at 5'7" compared to the other running backs. D. Hart did get the lowest rating by NFL.com of any CSU Ram at the Combine. He got a 5.
I'm with you. This Combine really hurts D. Hart in this draft. Last year, Capri Bibbs had a record-setting season in the Mountain West, clearly the best running back, and he didn't have a great Combine, but a much better Combine than D. Hart. So I think this pushes D out of draft talk and possibly even out of free agency talk. It hurts him a lot.
Yeah, and speaking of free agency talk, we have another player in the Combine, Aaron Davis. He had a rough performance as well, only getting 16 reps on the bench press, and that's just not what you like to see, but it looks like his chances of getting drafted have disappeared.
I am with you completely. The 40-yard dash for a linebacker, you'd like to see him have a better time so maybe he could play in the 3-4 and blitz the quarterback. His 40-yard dash was poor, and then his bench was poor also, so that tells you he can't be in the middle linebacker position and take those hits. So this really hurts his draft position. Just like D. Hart, I don't know if I see him being drafted, and I'm not sure if he'll even be picked up.
Yeah, and with no Grayson in the Combine, no one really improved their stock at the Combine, I think, from the perspective of Colorado State.
Yeah, well, Grayson has a pro day here in Fort Collins, which will bring a lot of buzz around Fort Collins for sure, and definitely a lot of eyes will be on him to see how he performs.
Yeah, I'm excited, Travis. Well, we'll just have to see how things fall into place during the draft. The first round is on April 30th, with the next 6 rounds on May 1st and 2nd.
It's time for another break.
But coming up, we're going to give you some of our Oscar picks for CSU athletes. We'll see if Jim McElwain leaving affected his chances at Best Director. Don't go away.
Hello Rams, my name is Sydney Schulz and I'll be your official Laurie Student Center tour guide. For our first stop, we arrive at the campus information desk in the land grant wall. As we move through the building, we enter the east to west corridor, featuring beautiful natural lighting and open architectural design. This is Sydney signing out from your home away from home and Laurie Student Center.
Welcome back to CTV Sports. The Oscars were last night. I was going to do my own little bit, and I went on air in my underwear, just like Neil Patrick Harris. But I actually forgot to wear underwear today.
Nice, Pat. Yeah. But what we lack in male nudity, we make up with great sports coverage.
That's right, Travis. And we've got our own version of the Oscars to give out awards for 2014. Let's start with our awards for the best team performance of 2014.
good
The
ones.
nominees include women's basketball from last year, the regular season conference champions, the football team that won 10 games, the volleyball team that advanced to the Sweet 16, and the men's basketball team that started 14-0 after winning every non-conference game. Trav, who you got?
I got to go with the football team on this one. It's a tough choice. A lot of good teams to back up with this decision, but I'm going the football team. The buzz they brought around Fort Collins, getting in the top 25, the huge win against Utah State here, going to the Las Vegas Bowl. This team had huge accomplishments, especially with how the team struggled years before McElwain. I just think the huge rise of this football team brought so much buzz, and it was fun for everybody here in Fort Collins.
Yeah, I can't really argue that, Trav, but I'm going to go with volleyball. These guys were some PT peers, as Dickie would say. They won when it counted most, taking CU to 5 sets, winning at Moby. That was an electric atmosphere. That's probably one of the funnest sporting events I've seen here in Fort Collins. And it was great to see a CSU team win in the postseason, going all the way to the Sweet 16 in Minnesota. Those girls had a great run, and Tom Hilbert really knows what he's doing.
Sure did. Well, let's move on to the Best Male Athlete Award. Our nominees for this are J.J. Avila, Garrett Grayson, Daniel Bejarano, and Rashard Higgins. Pat, who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Rashard Hollywood Higgins, really bursting onto the scene this year as Garrett's favorite target, and they were blowing by records this year. It was great to see the #2 receiver in the nation, one of the best athletes at CSU right now, bar none, any sport, and I can't wait to watch the guy next year. It's going to be exciting.
Well, the great season from Higgins, but to me, without the guy slinging him the ball, he wouldn't have had those stats. So I got to go with Garrett Grayson this one. Over 4,000 yards passing this season, 32 touchdowns, was up for best quarterback of the year, and also the career he had here at CSU. Sometimes movies, they talk about the actors' resumes. How about the resume from Garrett Grayson, leading just about every statistical category you can as a quarterback here in CSU?
Yeah, I'd give McConaughey a real run for his money.
Now for Best Female Athlete, our nominees are Amy Van Dyken, after she was honored by CSU, Becky Hammond on her coaching job with the Spurs, Britt Ryder for leading the basketball team, and Deidre Foss for her incredible volleyball season.
Trav, I'm going to have to go with Becky Hammond. How about this? The first full-time female coach in the NBA under one of the great coaches, Greg Popovich. She's really going places. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if she's a head coach in the years to come. That was great for CSU women's basketball.
That is very remarkable. But I'm going to go with Deidre Foss in this one. Mountain West Player of the Year, 3rd in the nation in sets. She set up this team for all the success. You said the best team for CSU. I think without Deidre Foss, they wouldn't have had near as well of a season as they did. That's why she's my best female athlete.
Can't argue with you there, Trav. Now on to the Best Supporting Role nominees. There are former offensive coordinator Dave Baldwin, Deidre Foss again, and Treyas Gerals.
Well, I picked Deidre Foss for the last one, so I'm going to go with Dave Baldwin on this one. I think he handled the job great of taking over as head coach. The team got demolished, but he handled the media situation very well.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to go with Deidre Foss on this one. I'm not going to reiterate because you said it all, Trav, but she was a real bulldog out there. She intimidated me on the sideline, and she was great for this team, one of their leaders.
Yep. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight.
And make sure to tune in next Monday.